Hi, me again. And today's top tips for Excel video is going to be having a look at filtering data. So here we are with our data set. And the way most people do filters is from here on the data ribbon. So they come along here, click on there, and then you have your filters along the top. So we could say, let's have a look and see how many we've got in London. And this will filter to show me just the ones in London. Now, a useful thing about doing filtering is that you can see down here on the status bar the number of records showing out of the total number of records. When I want to clear a filter, what a lot of people will do is just simply clear the filter there, and then when you turn it back on again, the filters have been taken off. That is one way of doing it, but another way is to have a look here. When that clear button is lit up or colored in, you can just click on it and clear all the filters and still keep the filters applied on the top row on the header bar there. That saves a step. The other thing is you can look at this, and if it is grayed out, then you can be confident there are no filters applied. And it's all very well saying, but I can see, because if you have a look here, I can see that little funnel icon there. But what about if that column is hidden? It's much more difficult to know, particularly when you have a complex spreadsheet, whether anything has been filtered out or not. If that button is lit up, something has been filtered. If nothing is filtered, that button will be grayed out. Okay, let's take off the filters off the header bar. Another way of applying filters is to simply right-click on an item, an entry, and to say filter by the selected cell's value. That instantly applies a filter. So there I've applied a filter for Berlin, and I want to see how many programmers we have in Berlin. So I then filter by that cell's value, and I have now what we call a compound filter. So it's filtered on two fields. Now here, if I wanted to clear the Berlin office, rather than clear all, I can come here and say clear the filter from office, but it keeps the filter on the job title. So that's quite useful as well for clearing parts of a complex filter. I'm going to clear all. I'm now going to look at some other types of filters that we can do, because on the date of birth column we actually have some dates in here, and we know they're dates because they've gone in as the date format in there. If I click on the drop down, I actually get some date filters. So I'm going to say between. Now here's where you have to be careful, because if I wanted to see who was born in the 70s, what I mustn't do is type in 1970 to 1979. If I do that, Excel tells me nobody was born within that date range. Now we know from looking at the data that several people were born in that date range. But when I type a number into here, it recognizes that number as a number. So 1970 is 1970 days after the first date that Excel recognizes, which is the 1st of January 1900. So this is just under 2000 days, or about 6 years afterwards. And actually, nobody was born in 1906 in this company. Down to 1979, which is actually 9 days later. So actually, that's a very tight date range to expect anybody to have been born in. What we do need to do is we simply need, again on the date filters between, we need to type in the full date in a correct date format. So the 1st of the 1st, 1970, until the 31st of the 12th, 1979. And that's including, and that's including. So or equal to is in both of those parameters. So now when I click OK, this now shows me all of the people who were born in the 70s. Equally down here, it's showing me how many records I found out of a total number of records. Let's have a look at some of the more complex things we can do. So clearly we could do that with between, with dates of birth or dates, and we've got number filters as well, and we can do between certain numbers. So again, I can do salary ranges to see who's paid within a certain salary range. More complex stuff is if I wanted to do something on the name, which is to do with the characters or the total number of characters in the surname. So let's see if we can find people who have 4 characters in their surname. Well, we have some wildcards down here, and we have a question mark represents a single character and an asterisk to represent any series of characters. So if I did C and then asterisk, that will find anybody whose surname begins with a C. So if I click OK, that shows me all the people whose surname begin with a C. Now the more complex filter is, as I was saying, if I wanted to find out who's got 4 characters, what I simply do is 4 question marks. In other words, 4 characters and I don't know what any of them are. And that shows me all of the people whose surname has 4 characters. These can be useful. Clearly it's not so useful for doing people's surnames, but it can be useful for part numbers. Let's do something similar over here, and we'll see where the text filter equals, and we're going to have B space something 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 something, and click OK, and that's now showing me the ones where the employee number is in the correct format. Okay, let me clear that filter. That, in a nutshell, is how you can apply filters. I hope it's been useful, and once more, thank you for listening.